The good life, full of fun, seems to be the idea.
Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another exciting day in my kitchen. How's pancakes sound? You know, one of those favorite memories I had when I was a kid is making pancakes with my mom. It was an old stove. It was white porcelain. My brother and I used to stand there. My dad had some box so we could reach. He'd make ave bratto, which is a egg kind of sugar mixture for us with coffee, and we'd sit there and have the best pancakes you ever had. My mother had this way of making them really light and really fluffy. So what I want to share with you today is a phenomenal recipe. It's definitely an Italian version, so it's going to have a little bit more egg content. It's absolutely delicious. So again, for those special times, those special mornings, when you want to spend a little time with your family or you have some people coming over and you want to really impress them with a phenomenal recipe, I'm telling you, this is it. Molto buono. This is it. Okay, so let me go over some ingredients with you. We're going to start with flour. So we've got 2 cups of unenriched, unbleached flour. Okay, so some organic flour would be great. We got 1.5 cups of whole milk. So again, I want that fat content. It's going to give me a much better pancake, much richer pancake. That's going to be really, really important. Now I've got eggs. I've got 4 eggs, room temperature, and I separated them. So I've got the egg whites and the egg yolks of 4 eggs. Okay, so that's what I got going on here. I've got one of my favorite master ingredients. Nutmeg. Love nutmeg. So I've got a breath of it. What I mean by that is a pinch, like a 32nd of a teaspoon. It's literally just a pinch. It's not something you're going to taste. It doesn't overpower it. If you don't like nutmeg, don't put it in. But again, it's just a backdrop flavor, which just makes it absolutely delicious. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Same thing. Again, we're going to make the pancake with a little bit of a punch, but not so much that it overtakes the flavor, but just a little bit. Obviously, I'm so excited, I'm out of breath. You're going to use a little bit of salt. So again, a pinch of salt. That's going to enhance, bring out those flavors, really important. Now, we want to make them fluffy and airy. So we're going to do that 2 ways. One, we're going to whip our egg whites. Again, if you're up for it, okay? So I'm always going to tell you to whip those egg whites. You're going to fold it in. That's going to add some air. And then we're going to want some baking powder. Now I've got 4, that's right, you heard me right, 4 teaspoons, not tablespoons, teaspoons of baking powder. And that's going to give me that puff right in the cake, which is going to make it light and airy with a nice eggy dense batter. I'm telling you, you can't make it better than that, okay? Now what I've got here is 2 teaspoons, and I'm going to say healthy teaspoons, right? A little bit of a heat to it. 2 teaspoons of sugar. I happen to use organic cane sugar, but you know, regular sugar will work out great. And then what I've got here is 4 tablespoons unsalted, 4 tablespoons of unsalted. If all you've got is salted butter, then just don't add any salt, okay? But I got 4 tablespoons unsalted butter melted. To top it off, one of my favorites right here, maple syrup. Now, nothing better than the whole real maple syrup rather than the, you know, the flavored water, maple flavor, artificial sugar, fructose. That's not what this is. This baby's coming from the maple tree. And this is Fine and Dandy from Don. Some of the best maple syrup you'll ever have is from New York. Some of the best maple syrup you'll have is from Fine and Dandy. And they're right here in upstate New York. And Don runs it, and I'll tell you, man, he always hooks me up. One last ingredient, which isn't gonna go in my pancake, but it's my shameless plug, and I'll make it quick. For those of you guys that watch our videos regularly, you'll know that we own a farm in Italy, Puglia. So East Coast, we have our own olive farm, we have our own olive grove, we make our own olive oil, which is absolutely delicious. We co-op with a group of farms to bring you the best olive oil. Truly a trip to Italy in a bottle. That's my opinion. Some of the best olive oil you'll ever have. It's grassy, it's earthy, it's got a little bit of a pepper kick to it. My 2 boys, Vito and Joe, so I named the company after them. You can go right on our Facebook, our website, or Amazon, punch in Vito and Joe's olive oil, grab yourself a bottle, essentially for any occasion. Great addition to any kitchen, certainly. So what do you guys say we get started? We're going to start with our dry ingredients here, okay? So I'm going to add my 2 cups of flour, and then I'm going to add my baking powder, 4 teaspoons. I almost said it, tablespoons, 4 teaspoons, right? And then I'm going to add my sugar, and then I'm going to add my pinch of salt, and then I'm going to add, did I tell you I love nutmeg? Oh, that's good. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix my wet ingredients So the simple thing to do here, though you don't have to, is you make a little bit of a well. So that's the classic Italian way. And then I'm gonna put some milk in there, maybe about half of it, and then just slowly give it a stir. And then just slowly add the rest. Prevents a mess, allows your batter to basically develop nice and slow. Then I'm gonna add my butter, and then I'm gonna add my vanilla. So my bit of advice here is to let this set. I'm not gonna mix it a lot because I don't wanna build up a lot of gluten. I don't wanna make it tough, right? And you'll find with any type of flour product, you want it to rest because you want the moisture to hydrate the flour. So I'm gonna set this aside for a good 10 minutes or so. And now what I wanna do is I wanna whip up my egg whites and I wanna cream my eggs. This just adds a beautiful lighter flavor to the pancake. And when you cream the yolk, what it does is it absolutely creates this almost like a custard, and it deepens the richness, the flavor, the density of the egg and the pancake. So I'm just take my 4 egg yolks. So again, that's your fat and that's your flavor, okay? And then you're gonna wanna whip it. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, and now what I've got is I've got the egg yolks creamed. So you're gonna show up kind of yellow and creamy. See how beautiful that is? Now what I'm gonna do is use a spatula. I'm gonna put that right in my batter. See how nice that is? And see how you add a little air to it? So again, it's not an absolute must step, but boy, I'll tell you, it's those little extra strategies, those little tips that you're not going to get that in those short little videos. Now I'm going to give this a stir with the eggs, and I want to more fold it in than I want to mix it in. See, and that's going to start to soften your batter right there. It's perfect. And then I'm going to add some more liquid because I want to add my egg whites, right? So a little thing, I didn't wash anything, so you guys don't have to, I mean, you can, but I'm just going to put those egg whites in there. Now typically to whip an egg white, you don't have to add anything to it. You can add cream of tartar, which is an acid, right? Or you can add a little lemon. So I always like to add a little citrus. It's just, so I'm going to add maybe a tablespoon of some lemon juice. You really won't taste it per se, but it's just the old school Italian way to do it. All right, so that literally took 3 to 5 minutes. So I took 3 to 5 minutes on the egg yolks to cream them, and I folded them in the batter. And then while I folded them and let that rest, I whipped up my egg whites, which are right here, okay? So before I add the egg whites, which I'll show you, what I did is I took a whisk, and I want to get rid of those lumps. A little bit's okay, but again, I'm making a cake batter. The other thing I just want to share with you is when you're making a pancake, especially when you're working with flours, depending on the moisture content of the flour, the type of flour, your liquid content can change. So sometimes you might need to add a little bit more milk, just a little bit more moisture. You're trying to get that cake batter consistency is what you're going. So I'm going to give it a good stir. It's been setting on its own for a good 15 minutes, right? So it's room temp, and oh, that's beautiful. So it's got that beautiful batter feel. See that? And all the lumps are gone. So now I'm done with this whisk, okay? And now I've got my egg whites. So here's my egg whites, and then I'm just going to put all the egg whites in there. This is a northern Italian type pancake recipe. So northern Italians have a big influence with a lot of the French cooking. So you're going to see a lot of almost like a souffle, right? You're incorporating air to make them light. So again, you don't want to punch it down. What you want to do is what's called folding. So turn your spatula, see that? Rather than down or whip it. And what you're trying to do, you're going to lose some of that aeration, but you're trying to keep it. So between the egg yolks that we creamed are 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and then the egg whites, boy, you're going to have just a beautiful batter. Again, I give it a good stir before, and this one I don't need to add any fluid, but again, a lot of times you might have to add a little extra milk. But again, that's the batter that you're looking for, okay? Pan's hot. I've got some butter along the side. I've got this great little ladle. It's just the most perfect size for pancakes. So a little ladle, if you want to use about a quarter cup measuring cup, that'll work. And then you're going to scoop it and pop it right in there. The way we want to prep this pan, we want it nice and warm, not hot, and we definitely want to put a little butter. We want to see it bubble. All right, so I'm adding some butter off my little tray here, all right? And you want to be generous with the butter, because it's not that you're trying to fry it, but you definitely want to give it some oil to give it a nice crisp taste and feel. Bring all that caramelization. We got that sugar in there, along with the egg, so that'll brown up really nice with the butter. And real simple, you're just going to take your ladle, and look how beautiful that batter is. See how nice and silky and airy it is? I mean, that's just beautiful. You're going to see a bunch of bubbles. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Then you're going to flip them, let them brown, and just get to the edge of crisp on the other side. Plate them, hit them with some maple syrup. I'm thinking some walnuts today, and then eat them. Talk to you guys in a minute. You see how you're getting all that bubble formation? So what that is that steam coming up from the other side of the pancake, and it won't hold the hole unless you start to get some cooking through the batter, right? So it'll start to create some structure within the cake. So I'm gonna flip that puppy, right? Oh, perfect. Remember this, the cake is already half cooked. So it's going to take much less time to cook the other side of the pancake than it did the first side, okay? So you're only going to want to go about 30 seconds to a minute and a half, so just check them. All right, it's been about 30 seconds. See how they're already cooking on that other side? So these guys are done. All right, guys, there's 3 of many. I'm going to go ahead and stack this puppy up. Going to keep cooking. Meet you over at the front. Maple syrup, walnut, taste buds, pictures. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys, my favorite part, all right? So what do you say? I'm going to grab a couple off my pile, right? And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of butter, and these are still pretty hot. So remember, when you pull them off, they're still cooking. So don't let them get like totally done, because they're still gonna cook when you take them off. So I got a little butter. I'm gonna grab a couple of walnuts. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. All right, but I love it. I'm gonna grab a little Don's maple syrup, dark amber. I miss my brother making pancakes over there at the stove. Oh, that is good, man. I'll tell you, the smell in the kitchen's awesome. You know, so you gotta get that perfect bite. So I want a couple of pieces of walnut, you know, just the right amount of butter. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The cake, you know, that mini pancake is so light and so airy and so tender. And it's got that a little bit of eggy flavor. You know, you got the butter, the vanilla, the nutmeg, with the maple syrup. Oh my God. I need a latte right now. Now that's an Italian pancake from Mom's house. Thanks so much for joining me today on a beautiful recipe, taking a trip down memory lane, right in my mom's kitchen with my brother Tony when I was a kid. Don't forget to celebrate your heritage, certainly set some traditions for you and the kids. Shut the cell phones and the Wi-Fi and all the technology off. Have some fun, make a mess in the kitchen, enjoy yourself. Certainly don't forget to visit our website, Cooking Italian with Joe. Grab yourself a bottle of olive oil, check out some recipes. You can get it on Amazon, check us out on Facebook. Until next week, guys, mwah, bon appetito.
A good life, full of fun, seems to